Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Mazzanti Evantra Millecavalli in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 at Golden Max in its, well, not its multiplayer season. The multiplayer season where there were all of the max free try cars. You guys know which one I'm talking about. So previously I made a max test of this car in the free try event, but that's not really the best indicator of how a car is going to do in multiplayer, so I of course wanted to do an actual multiplayer video with it, as I like to do in pretty much every car. And here this guy tried to knock me down. He really tried to push me over to the side there. Kind of surprised it didn't actually work, because generally, given my luck, I would have gotten knocked down there. However, I'm now into second place. He got quite far ahead, but that's better than being several seconds behind with a knockdown. So the special event for this car ended just a few days ago, and it required the Murcielago in order to get, so the Legend Pass car of last update, which I made a video about a couple days ago, and we'll be making another one about pretty soon as well in its max free try test. So usually when I make videos about cars, if I can, I like to go up in star count. So like starting at lower stars, so Race did the 4-star one, then I'm going to do the 5-star one. I generally like to do that because I feel like it's a more natural progression, although sometimes I do end up doing a max test in the car before a lower star one, which is kind of awkward. Here, I tried to pass this guy at the last second. I even tried to shockwave a bit earlier than I normally would have to try to get past him. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out, but we were super close, just a few frames apart, and a very good race. And now we are on to the Caribbean. So this car is one that I really don't think it would have been worth it for many people to go for, and I doubt that many people, or I doubt a high percentage of people, actually managed to get it. Not only because it required a Legend Pass car, but also because if you have the Inferno, or the Fenner, or the Zenvo Max, probably either the Zenvo or the Fenner, because not many people actually have the Inferno Max, because it was another one of those hard cars to get. Anyway, this one, it is just about as good as the Fenner and the Zenvo. There's really no reason to get this car if you have either of those cars. And as you can tell throughout this video, there's nothing really special about how it drives. It just feels like another one of those mid to high-end S-Class cars that's decently fun. I mean, there's just nothing really much note about it. It's one of those cars that I have no idea how to title the video other than just saying it's a clone of some other car. And that makes me think that this car just isn't really memorable. It's probably going to be one of those cars that we don't really see much of again unless it's required in another special event, which I would be surprised about, but then again, we have seen the Chiron and the Regera needed in events, so I guess I wouldn't put it past Game Loft. But thankfully, we are able to get ahead in our second race, and we come in first to another Millecavalli, as well as some 4-day challenges, and a couple of Apertas. And those are the same cars that we're facing in this race, with the addition of a Lamborghini Veneno. Now, this track, New York, should be a pretty good one for this car, given its decently high top speed, and it handles pretty well too. There is really nothing about this car that's especially bad, and there's nothing about it that's especially good either. It's pretty much painfully average in almost every area for its class, which of course is not necessarily a bad thing. It means it can be driven on pretty much any track without much of a problem. It's pretty well-rounded. The thing is, if it's well-rounded and yet not really king on anything, people aren't going to remember it. That's the real problem here. And if it's not really better than any cars that are easier to get than it. Because I had fun driving in this car, I really did. The speed is certainly good enough to make it feel like a pretty fast car. The handling is good enough to get around many turns without hitting the side, but not all of them. It doesn't have as sharp as drifting as, say, the Chiron or the Trion Nemesis, but it's certainly better than the old Devo's drifting, which they did fix along with the GT3, which I will be testing also soon as well. The acceleration at 82.6 is actually not bad at all and above average, so it definitely has that going for it. The nitro efficiency, there's really nothing much to say there as well, pretty average too. The special event that has now come out directly after the Mazzanti event ended is the Volkswagen W12 event. Now, this is a key car. We haven't had too many key cars in special events, but the way this one works is you have to complete 100% of the conditions in the special event, and then you get the key for the car at the very end. Unfortunately, this doesn't look like it's going to be all that easy, because let me tell you the list of cars that you have to have. You'll have to have the Bentley GT3 at 3 stars. That's not terrible since it has a car hunt going for it right now. You have to have the Vulcan at 3 stars. That's not bad either. But you will have to have the F40 at 4 stars and the Roma at 3 stars, and those might be a bit harder for people. In addition to that, you'll need the Renault RS01 at 3 stars, the Aston Martin GT12 at 4 stars, and the GT2 RS at 5 stars. This is minimum in order to get every condition for the W12 based on a sheet that one of my followers gave to me. Let me know if there are any mistakes in there. I'm definitely going to try to go through as much of the event as I can, but I'll definitely not be able to get the W12. Here my car randomly turned to the right at the very beginning of the race. Still don't quite understand that. It happened once in that race. It happens occasionally, very occasionally to me as well. I'm sure you guys remember on some of my streams, it's happened before. Hasn't happened in a while. In any case, that put me a bit further back in the race. And so this ended up being sort of a comeback race. And I missed a shockwave back there. Wasn't going super well, but I got into 3rd place. So kind of my plan for this update is to go for the Grand Prix cars if I can, but not the rest of them because I just won't be able to get them. The W12, I simply won't have the cars at the required ranks needed, and you will need the Victor for the Valkyrie, and I'm not going to get the Victor since it's a Legend Pass car, so those two are out of the picture as well. I guess my plan is to just keep saving up tokens and not really spending much of anything on cars that aren't kings in some shape, form, or fashion, because the thing is, tokens are becoming even more valuable and even harder to get, so you have to be even more careful on what you spend them on if you want to be able to get good cars in this game. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Here, I thought I passed him at the last second, unfortunately did not quite, but this ended up being an extremely close race against another Legions United member who I tied with, and the 3rd place guy came in exactly 1 frame behind us. Now we're on to our final race, which is on Osaka, and it's time for me to give my general review about this car. The best way I know how to describe it is unremarkably decent, which sounds a bit weird, I know, but it's a fun car to drive. It's just nothing we haven't seen before. It essentially feels like another Fenner or something like that. It's just another one of those newer cars that was really hard to get and doesn't really have much to make it stand out beyond being difficult to get, and so I just think it's one of those cars that's going to be somewhat forgotten after people have fun with it in the season where I got to try it, because I mean it was the car that was most used because it was the top car in the season. And I will still say, I was going to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say because that just happened. Oh yes, I think the max free try events are very good both for Gameloft and for the players, because for us it gives us a chance to test cars that we might not otherwise be able to, and for Gameloft it gives us a chance to test those cars, so we might be more likely to try to go for them. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!